So let's take a look at some work that I did for Adidas called the Zions Network. And we'll take a look at this and break it down to show how an execution came to life on this one, all the way from brief to execution. So what's the brief? We needed to sell a shoe called the ZX, that would be the ZX for us Americans, to teenagers across the world. The shoe is a nice enough shoe, but it is not like aesthetically so crazy that like people are going to be clamoring for it and camping out or anything like that. It's a nice, normal, everyday shoe. The sort of push here was to get it so that people just wanted this shoe and that they would crave it, and really that teenagers, 20-somethings would really think of this shoe and consider it whenever they went to the mall. This was not exclusively for sneakerheads. This is a big distinction. So we need to sell this shoe to teenagers. We need to sell this shoe to 20-somethings. What did we do? We go to audience research and say, hey, what can we learn about our audience? And what did our audience research tell us? Our audience research told us one thing that we found that was very surprising. As much as Gen Z has grown up with computers and iPhones and screens constantly in their faces, social media and stuff, we found that there was a surprising trend among Gen Z. They really like to watch things that were sort of like, we'll call it slow TV, even though it's not television, but things that were just sort of soothing. They would watch people painting a wall. They would watch a cake being baked. Things that are just very slow and almost background sort of things. They don't have a plot. They're not narrative. It's just things that are nice and feel good to watch it. Sometimes it could be a mechanical device, a machine putting things together on a assembly line. If you've ever watched like how it's made, things like that, where you watch it and you're like, this is a soothing experience. And when we found that out, we looked around a little bit, and all of that sort of stuff is called oddly satisfying things. There are things that you don't quite understand why it feels good to watch it, but there's just something in your brain that says, this is right, this feels soothing, this feels nice. Cool. That's a great bit of insight about our audience. What could we do with that information from our audience? So we looked at our shoe, and we have this shoe, and the shoe, like I said, a fairly normal shoe. You wouldn't really remark upon it. But when we had it in our office and it was just sitting on a desk, people would constantly walk by, pick up the shoe, and they would touch the back of the shoe. The shoe has like a little rubbery, bulbous heel part, and they would squeeze the heel of it because the heel of it being so rubbery and bulbous, it kind of looked like a child's toy. And there's just something in our heads that says, if you see something rubbery and bulbous, you should squeeze it. And so people would constantly walk by, pick up the shoe, squeeze the heel. And we noticed that. And we said, this shoe in and of itself is kind of oddly satisfying. Why do we like squeezing rubbery and bulbous things? I couldn't tell you, but most people do like to squeeze rubbery and bulbous things. So we said, hey, we have an oddly satisfying shoe. And this is the idea. Why don't we make oddly satisfying content to sell this shoe? So with the idea to make oddly satisfying content to sell the shoe, we then went on a bit of visual research. We went to Reddit and found every single piece of oddly satisfying content that we could. And we started putting them on mood boards and we started cataloging it. And after a lot of research, we were able to sort of categorically determine what makes things oddly satisfying. And we set up several different subgenres of oddly satisfying things. And we found a bunch of people on the internet making oddly satisfying content. And so this led us to our full-on idea. We're gonna make oddly satisfying content for this oddly satisfying shoe. And what we're gonna do, the execution of it, is we're going to get creators who make oddly satisfying content about the shoe. We will find someone who bakes cakes that look like things. And we're gonna send them the shoe and they will make a cake that looks exactly like the shoe. And you can watch in real time as someone creates a cake that looks like this shoe. We're going to find someone who blows things up in super, super slow motion. And we're gonna send that guy the shoe and he's gonna blow it up. And we found someone who puts things in a hydraulic press and watches them break and squeeze and come apart. And we sent him the shoe and he squished things with the shoe. And we found people who designed tattoos and had them design tattoos with the shoe. Nail art, 3D printing onto carpets and things like that. We found all of these people and had them make work that was inspired by the shoe. And why did we create so much content? We created so much content because the delivery method that we wanted to come up with was something that was akin to a television network. And we called it the Zions Network. So we were gonna put all of this content on this network on YouTube and create this 12-hour long feed that you can watch. And it is super satisfying. It's a little bit chaotic because we've programmed it to be a little bit chaotic and you can't tell whether things are gonna be 10 minutes, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever. And we did that on purpose because that chaos creates a hypnotic effect. Because if you're watching something that is very soothing, but you don't know when it's gonna end, and you keep getting more soothing things, it creates a generally hypnotic effect where you're like, things are happening to me that feel good, but I never know when they're gonna end or start. I should hang around to get more feel goods. That's not correct English, but you know what I'm saying. So now that I've done all that explaining of how the Zions Network came to be, and you can see how this execution is built off of the brief, the insight, the idea, let's check it out and see what it looks like.
The Zions Network.
Hi, I'm Meta, and I'm thinking about all things comfortable whilst floating down the stream of consciousness. I feel the most comfy when I'm laying in the sun and it's autumn in Minnesota, and I'm kind of like a furry cat perched on the ledge, just soaking in the rays, honey. I'm just delicious to the touch. My coat is clean, honey, fresh, okay? I lounge around, but I like to patrol the neighborhood. Just make sure everybody's minding their P's and Q's. So my grandmother has this wall in her basement. There's wood grain on one wall, there's shag carpet on the other. You can lean against it and it's like you're standing up, but you're also on the floor. So then you're just going through all these cool vertigo sensations in your body. Imagine her back in the day, kikiing with her girls, picking out her fro and kicking it, listening to her records. And I'm just sitting here now, just having this fantasy about her living her best life. Comfortability within oneself will heed comfortability in whatever environment you take yourself into. No matter what's going on around me, I got my spirit. You're the conduit to your own comfort level, an energy that makes you feel most at home. Meta, darling, it's very important that you follow your path. Do not deviate. Do you hear me? If you want to perform well and feel good, you gotta get comfortable with finding your own vulnerability. Thank you very much for making the journey. And would you like a watermelon spritzer? Listen, we're just having an existential conversation. This is a testimony to comfort. A kutch, aka a hug. You know what I'm saying? I get you. Kiki, kiki, shaking the legs. You know, gets the booty going. Would you like a watermelon spritzer, yes or no? You didn't answer my question. Adidas Originals ZX 2K Boost. Feel the Zions.
So now we have an execution. As I've said before, an execution is the how of what we're making. We take a step back and think about it. The execution is the how, the idea is the what, and the insight is the why. Executions can make or break the entire thing. You can have the world's greatest idea, you can be very clever, it can be very novel. But if your execution doesn't match it, no one will remember it. No, it won't land with any power, with any weight. So we really want to make sure that our executions match the strength of our ideas. With that all said, now have a fully functioning, a fully rounded out solution to the client's problem. In the next lessons, we will work on presenting everything we have just covered, all the work we have just done, back to the client in a way that is easily digestible for them to understand, from the buy off on, to sign off on, to give us a whole bunch of money, and now we can make the thing and become super famous.